The Electric State book by Simon Stalenhag was a low-key affair. A quiet, lonely story about a girl crossing a desolate landscape littered with the crumbling remnants of humanity. Through the pages we see a subtle, nightmarish world unfold, filled with colossal machines left to decay and lives abandoned that invokes a disturbing sense of scale and subdued horror, of isolation and nostalgia. It's a quiet apocalypse, and the art and the feelings that just a few images manage to provoke in you is what makes The Electric State and its companion books Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood some of my favourite pieces of media from the last few decades. The Electric State film, on the other hand, is not that. Netflix's adaptation, while drawing on the basic premise and the characters, some of them anyway, is not really very concerned with subtle. It abandons the bleaker aspects of the world for a far more mainstream affair. The film is less of a journey for the characters and more of a spectacle, though we do see more of the world and how it ended up this way. If you were hoping for a faithful adaptation that explores the themes and the characters in much more depth, then this is not it, and it never will be. But does that make the film bad? Honestly, no, not really. In and of itself, the film is kind of fun. A family-friendly adventure that provides, if nothing else, a good couple of hours of entertainment. The Russo brothers are pretty good at what they do in this regard, and I think, therefore, if anyone was going to do this to The Electric State, then there probably was no better choice of directors. The casting here is quite an extensive list of safe Hollywood types. You've got Chris Pratt, who is pretty much here doing what he does as he always does it. Honestly, I'm personally getting a little bit tired of him in these types of roles. His character is basically indistinguishable here from Star-Lord or Owen from Jurassic Park. Millie Bobby Brown, who plays the film's main protagonist, Michelle, is fine, but again, her character seems indistinguishable from parts like Eleven or Enola Holmes. Unlike where in the book, the heart of the story is the relationship between Michelle and her brother, here she is little more than just a vehicle for the plot. But as always, Millie Bobby Brown is likeable enough and is always pleasant to watch. I think if they had given her more to do, it might have given more weight to the film's more emotional moments, few as they were. Giancarlo Esposito is here, once again doing what he also does in playing the enigmatic antagonist, and you've got Stanley Tucci playing some kind of Jeff Bezos-esque figure, a Bezosian figure. That's a good word. Can we make that a word? Bezosian. Then again, I'm sure his ego is big enough. There are other notable cast members, including Woody Harrelson, Ke Huy Quan, Anthony Mackie, and Colman Domingo. But for me, honestly, the best performance goes to the young Woody Norman. In the few scenes that he is in, this kid is really the one doing all the heavy lifting to really retain any of the core from the book and make this somehow worth it. It's just a shame it doesn't really quite pay off in the overall scheme of things. The few quiet moments there are completely drowned out by the action sequences, and any moments of the horror of this society are given a kind of PG gloss that takes the sting out of any impact they could have had. But that's really by no means the fault of the cast. But that is the real disappointment of this film. Like I previously mentioned, in the book, the heart and soul of the story is the relationship between Michelle and her brother, but in the film this is little more than something to get the plot moving. Most of what makes the book great is lost in the movie, and instead we get a bit of a jumble of these themes that doesn't quite know where it wants to go. And we end up with a bit of a dumb action adventure film with some wacky robots rising up against oppression. Don't get me wrong, the film is fine. If I take away the name, The Electric State, and any preconceived notions I may have had, I think this is a perfectly serviceable action adventure that everyone can enjoy. The film's effects are some of the best I've seen in a while. The robots are fun. They really look great, if I'm honest, and I enjoyed most of their performances. It's just that if I do add the title, the film misses the point entirely. I saw this post on Reddit that sums up the problem. This doesn't look like the kind of film where a man's head is blown off, a reanimated gladiator drone fucks a woman in a van in the middle of a parking lot, emaciated bodies rot beneath still whirring Neurocasters, or young lesbian love is crushed by fundamentalist Christians. No civil war, no drone pilots with stillborn children. So you see the problem here. So why would they do this? Honestly, I think it's nothing more than an attempt to market the film to a broader audience. With the choice of cast and the directors famous for Infinity War and Endgame, I mean, that much seems obvious. If this were a more faithful adaptation, I can't help but think the audience would be much, much smaller. It is a shame for us fans of the original, but I guess it is what it is. A cynical observer might see this as some kind of cash grab with the bloated cast of Hollywood types, and what is the unnecessarily large budget doing here? Like, it's hard to grasp why a project like this needed to cost so much, but who knows. If you do want a taste of what could have been, I would strongly encourage you to check out Amazon's adaptation of Tales from the Loop. I wish they had followed that series up with a faithful version of the Electric State, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. So ultimately, the Electric State in and of itself is a fairly serviceable action adventure with a pretty safe cast, pretty safe directors, and a pretty safe story that might entertain you if you let it. Just don't go in hoping for anything deeper than that. In the context of the source material, which had a pretty nailed down premise, themes, and story, the film is a bit of a confusing mess and fails to deliver on anything other than the basic premise and some spectacle. But fuck it, give it a shot. I encourage anyone who did like the film to go and give the book a try. You may find that it just gives you all of the elements of the story that you feel were missing in the film, and at the very least, Simon Stallenhag's artwork is just extremely cool and really worth checking out. If you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around and watching. If you liked this review and are sick of the same old hate for the sake of hate and would like to see more balanced reviews out there, please consider giving this video a like. It would really help me out, help me make more of this kind of stuff. And as always, please consider hitting subscribe. I'll see you again in the future.